So, dear students, our today's lecture is devoted to the external structure of educational activities. So, according to the scheme, external structure of educational activity consists of learning motivation, training situation, controlling the teacher, and of course, teacher's assessment. Training situation is closely connected to the training task and learning activities, while the control of the teacher is linked to self-monitoring and teacher's assessment to self-assessment.
So overall, the process of learning is not spontaneous. It allows a clear sequence of stages that ensure the effectiveness of educational activities. This diagram illustrates the external stages of educational activities, which represent the visible steps of students' learning process as organized by the teacher. At the top, we see goal setting, the first and most crucial stage. Here, the teacher and the students define what needs to be learned and why. The goal determines the direction of all further actions, helping students understand the purpose and expected outcomes of their learning. Clear and archivable goals increase motivation and engagement. For example, instead of saying, "We will study biology today," a teacher might specify, "By the end of the lesson, you will be able to explain the process of photosynthesis." The second stage is the model of action. At this stage, students receive instructions or frameworks that help them plan their actions. It may include theoretical explanations, examples, or models of how to approach a specific task. The teacher demonstrates how the task should be performed, while students analyze the example and form an internal plan. This stage bridges theory and practice, ensuring students understand the logic behind the task. The third stage is execution, the practical implementation of the learning task. Here, students actively perform the task based on the model they have studied. They might complete exercises, conduct experiments, or engage in problem solving. The teacher's role is to guide, observe, and provide timely feedback. This stage reflects the students' independent activity and the development of practical skills. The fourth stage is evaluation. At this stage, the results of the activity are analyzed. The teacher and students assess whether the goals were achieved, identify strengths and weaknesses, and discuss ways to improve. Evaluation may include teacher feedback, peer review, or self-assessment. It not only measures knowledge but also fosters reflection, an important element in developing learning autonomy.
So let's consider motivation structure by Dodonov. Enjoy the activity itself. Significance of its direct result for the individual. The motivating power of performance rewards. Compulsive pressure on the individual. Highest degree of problem, it is inherent in the learning situation in which the student is, self-formulates the problem, he finds the solution himself, resolves, it controls the correctness of this decision. Feedback of reverse affirmation mechanism by Anokhin. The first one is model, image of the desired result of action. Number 2, the process of comparing this image and the actual action. Making a decision to continue and correct the action is the third mechanism. So, there are some stages of self-control in educational activities. Self-control is completely absent since at this stage the student has not yet mastered the material. Full self-control. Checking the completeness and correctness of the student's reproduction of the learned material. Selective self-monitoring, checking the main one for questions. Lack of visible self-control. Control is carried out as if one on the basis of the past experience.
So, self-control is a fundamental component of effective learning. It allows students to take responsibility for their own progress and manage their educational activities consciously. This diagram shows the main stages of self-control in educational activity, which reflect how learners plan, monitor, and evaluate their actions. The process begins with defining objectives. At this stage, students clearly understand what they want to achieve and why. They set learning goals, identify the desired outcomes, and determine the criteria for success. This step gives direction and purpose to their actions. Next come monitoring actions. Here, students keep track of their progress while performing their learning task. They check whether their actions align with the original plan and make necessary adjustments. This stage develops awareness, discipline, and responsibility for the learning process. Finally, the stage of assessing results closes the self-control cycle. Students evaluate what they have achieved compared to their initial goals. They analyze their successes and difficulties, reflect on what worked well, and identify areas for improvement.
Thank you very much for your attention.